Kevin arrives in a foreign country with his wife and son, hoping to spend a peaceful vacation together. He works as a doctor at a government hospital, and this trip is meant to be a break from his routine life. The country is known for its many small islands, and Kevin is excited about exploring them. The next morning, he goes to the beach with his family, planning to rent a boat. But when he reaches the rental spot, there are no boats available. After insisting, the man there tells him that a little farther away there is someone who rents out his private boat. Kevin finds that man, pays him, and rents the boat. Kevin even offers to give his ID, but the man refuses and says he trusts him. Kevin, along with his wife and son, sets off into the sea. After traveling quite far, his wife becomes nervous and suggests they should turn back because they are already too far from land. Kevin agrees, but at that moment he notices a small island in the distance. Curious, he decides they should quickly visit it before returning, and he steers the boat toward the island. They reach the island and spend some relaxing time together. Since there is nobody around, Kevin soon decides they should head back. They return to the boat, but when Kevin tries to start the engine, it doesn't start. At first he believes it's a minor issue and keeps trying, but even after a long time, the engine refuses to start. He checks the fuel. It's full. He examines the engine, but he cannot figure out the problem. As evening falls, Kevin's tension grows because he knows staying on a deserted island with his family is dangerous. With no other option, they spend the night on that small island. The next morning, his wife wakes up and sees Kevin still trying to start the boat, but nothing changes. They realize they didn't bring their phones, and the man who rented them, the boat didn't even take their ID. That means nobody knows where they are. Suddenly, Kevin notices a boat in the distance. He starts shouting and signaling desperately, but they are too far away, and the people on that boat never see them. The boat disappears. Kevin convinces himself that this route must be used by tourists, so another boat will eventually pass by and rescue them. But the entire day passes. No boat comes. They have no proper food or drinking water. 3 days pass like this. Kevin's daughter starts getting sick. His wife begins to lose hope and fears that nobody is coming to save them, that they might die there. But Kevin refuses to give up. He reassures his family that they will get out somehow. To save them, Kevin decides to move the boat without fixing the engine. He puts everyone on the boat and starts rowing manually. However, he is already exhausted and dehydrated. After some time, he collapses along with his family and loses consciousness. When Kevin wakes up, he realizes the boat has drifted to another island. He checks his wife and children. Their pulse is still there. They are alive. Then Kevin sees another boat not very far away. He screams for help, but before he can do anything more, he collapses again. This time, however, the people on that boat notice them. They are two fishermen. One of them gives Kevin water. Kevin explains everything, how they got stranded with his family. He also tells them he is a doctor. The moment the fisherman hears that Kevin is a doctor, greed appears in his mind. He asks Kevin what he will get in return for helping. Kevin offers $100. The fisherman says nothing, and Kevin understands he wants more. Kevin then says his entire life savings are about $40,000, and he will give everything. But the fisherman demands $1 million. Kevin explains he doesn't have that much money, but the fisherman insists he can ask friends and family. Kevin agrees because he has no choice. At that moment, the fisherman suddenly hits Kevin on the head with an oar, knocking him unconscious. When Kevin wakes up, his hands are tied, and his family is gone. The fisherman tells him he didn't bring the family because Kevin could go to the police. Until he gets all the money, he will not reveal which island the family is on. There are many islands, and Kevin will never find the right one alone. Kevin is forced to obey. He calls relatives and friends from a phone booth asking for money. Eventually, nearly $1 million is collected in his account. The fisherman agrees to reveal the island, but first demands the money be transferred to another account that isn't his. Kevin transfers everything. Then the fisherman tells Kevin to get onto another boat. When Kevin enters the cabin, the fisherman locks him inside from outside and tells him to follow his boat. He says once they reach the island, he will open the door. Kevin follows him across the sea. But once they are far away from the city, in the middle of the ocean, the fisherman asks Kevin to bring his boat closer. Kevin thinks he will finally open the door. Instead, the fisherman starts stabbing holes into Kevin's boat with a sharp tool so that it sinks, and Kevin dies there. The second fisherman, George, tries to stop him, but he is ignored. The boat begins to sink. Kevin survives for a while in a small air pocket. The fisherman assumes Kevin is dead and leaves, but Kevin is still alive. He breaks the glass, escapes, and reaches the surface. Soon, a tourist boat finds him and rescues him, bringing him back to the city. Kevin reports everything to a police constable and the Coast Guard, explaining what happened to his family. But it is night, and they say the search operation will start after 3 hours because there are too many islands. Kevin insists they don't have that much time and that they must find the fisherman first because they know the island. But the constable doesn't fully believe him and asks him to wait until morning. Kevin realizes nobody truly trusts him, but he cannot stop. And this is where Kevin decides he will find his family himself, no matter what it takes. Kevin understands that waiting for the authorities could cost him his family's lives. So instead of sitting still, he starts thinking on his own. He goes to a cafe and studies a detailed map of the area, trying to identify which island his family might be stranded on. But with so many islands, he cannot figure it out. Then an idea comes to him. He goes back to the Coast Guard constable and suggests that the fisherman who attacked him will eventually come to the fish market to sell his catch. If they go there, they might find him. But the constable refuses again, insisting that the priority is the official search operation. Kevin realizes the police still suspect him, so he decides to search alone. He goes to the market, but neither the fisherman nor George is there. Disappointed and exhausted, he takes a taxi to return to the hotel. Inside the taxi, Kevin notices something. The driver has a fresh injury on his hand. It looks very similar to the wounds he saw on the fisherman's hand earlier. Kevin asks how he got injured. The driver casually explains that certain fish attacks can cause wounds like that, and mentions he got treatment at a hospital in the city. That information gives Kevin another lead. He goes to the hospital, gets his own wounds treated, and tells the doctor everything. How the fisherman left his family on an island where they are fighting for survival. The doctor feels sympathy and shows him recent patient records. There are no photos, but Kevin filters names based on age, height, and body type until one person stands out. Kevin goes to that address. Inside the house, he finds a woman. Then he notices a photo on the wall, the fisherman standing on his boat. Kevin quickly takes a photo of it because the boat number is visible. Just then, the fisherman arrives. He pretends not to recognize Kevin. Kevin attacks him. The fisherman's wife runs in with an arrow gun. Kevin grabs the fisherman's daughter as a shield. In the chaos, the wife fires, but the arrow hits their own daughter. The fisherman completely loses control and attacks Kevin. In self-defense, Kevin kills him, but Kevin is already badly injured, and before he can escape, he collapses unconscious. When he wakes up, he is in a hospital bed, handcuffed. A police officer is guarding him. Soon the constable arrives and accuses Kevin, claiming he arranged his family's disappearance for insurance money and killed the fisherman to eliminate a witness. Kevin also learns the search operation for his family has been canceled. He realizes time is running out. When officers attempt to transfer him, Kevin grabs a gun, forces them to unlock his handcuffs, and escapes. The constable chases him, but Kevin manages to get away. Kevin now has the boat number, but registration records lead nowhere. He feels completely stuck until another idea strikes him. He calls the American embassy and explains that the fisherman called George after Kevin left the bank. If they trace call records, they can find George. The embassy agrees to act. Meanwhile, police are searching for Kevin. He calls the constable and suggests tracing George's number. The constable reveals they already contacted George, but his phone is now switched off. Kevin loses hope again. He boards a bus leaving the city, devastated, believing he may have lost his family forever. But then he sees something shocking. George is sitting at the back of the bus. Kevin calls out. George panics and jumps off the bus, running. Kevin chases him despite his injuries, but he becomes too weak and stops. George also stops, exhausted. Kevin calmly pleads with him. Just tell him which island his family is on, and he won't hurt him. George finally believes him and starts approaching, but suddenly he gets hit by a vehicle. Kevin rushes to him, shows the map, and asks which island. George points to one island before losing consciousness. Kevin immediately sends George to the hospital in that same vehicle and rushes to the port. He has no money left to rent a boat, so he uses the gun he took earlier and hijacks a tourist boat. First, he refuels it and speeds off toward the island. The tourists report to police and a chase begins. Kevin has a gun, but he refuses to shoot at police. Instead, he throws the gun into the sea. He notices the boat has twin engines, starts the second engine, and dramatically increases speed, escaping police range. Soon Kevin reaches the island where his wife and son are. Their condition is critical. He gives his wife water and manages to wake her. Then he checks his son. He isn't breathing. Kevin panics, but he is a doctor. He performs CPR, and after tense moments, his son starts breathing again. Kevin knows they must leave immediately. He carries his son to the boat first, then struggles to carry his wife. but Kevin himself is severely injured and exhausted. He collapses. At that moment, a red helicopter appears in the sky, the same one that had been tracking the hijacked boat. Kevin opens his eyes and sees the helicopter, and we understand Kevin, his wife, and his son are finally rescued. The story ends with a father who refused to give up, proving that determination, love, and desperation can push a person beyond every limit.